welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti for the best conversations in AEW, WWE, NXT, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. So usually, the last couple of weeks, we've been doing Tuesday nights as a preview to AEW Dynamite and NXT on the USA Network. But honestly, not a lot has been promoted for either show. But we got some big news Monday night, and that is SmackDown's ratings were a record low, like really bad. Now, I understand they moved to FS1, but they only get 888,000 viewers, which is down 1.5 million viewers from last week. Their rating was a 0.25 in the 18 to 45 demographic. These were the lowest first night on a network ratings since they were on the Sci-Fi Network when they got 1.4 million. Mm-hmm. Not only that, this means that AEW Dynamite last week beat SmackDown in the ratings.
Right.
Is this finally a wake-up call for WWE?
No. I don't think it will be a wake-up call for WWE. I think that it probably should have been a wake-up call a long time ago, knowing that AEW was going to be competing against them one way or another. Their ratings haven't necessarily been good for quite some time. The product hasn't necessarily been good for quite some time. So bad, in fact, to the point where they were heavily criticized by not only their fans, but critics within the industry, professionals within the industry. Just about everybody you can be criticized for, to the point where the entire family had to go out on Monday Night Raw and just basically tell the fans, we're going to do a better job for you.
And they did that by burying Baron, or I shouldn't say bury, but basically make Baron Corbin the scapegoat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Baron Corbin was the scapegoat in that situation. Now, look, they've certainly taken steps in the right direction, but for whatever reason, they just can't find their stride lately. It seems like we find more reasons to talk about all the negatives that WWE has done over the past several months since that specific segment. Then we've been able to sit here and talk about all the positive things.
Right.
It's honestly an endless list. So despite promoting certain guys into main event, positions like Kofi Kingston, having him have his title reign, his time to shine, despite Becky Lynch being probably the most over individual in the WWE, despite the Women's Revolution and everything that's gone on with that. It seems like every week and every time we have a show, we're sitting here discussing the blunders of WWE. And the unfortunate thing for WWE, now that they have competition, and I say this all the time because it's true, whenever the negative news is reported, within the same context, in the same paragraphs, in the same reports, is how well AEW is doing. So not only is WWE product getting crapped on by most people within the industry, when it's being reported, it's also being reported how well AEW is doing. So it's just not good for them.
Now, of course, this headline with SmackDown's ratings, obviously a lot of people are going to say, and including this title of this video, is AEW Dynamite beat SmackDown in the ratings. And as someone that works in television, and I try to explain the ratings as much as I can and try to, educate people that just look at the viewership. It's more than just the viewership totals. This number is absolutely inexcusable. You can't blame the World Series. You can't blame moving to FS1. You can't blame it being on a Friday. These numbers suck, plain and simple. Yep. They are bad.
When Fox invested billions of dollars in this product, they thought they were getting a sure thing, I think.
Yeah.
And, especially for something that's been around as long as WWE has been around, and as established as WWE has been over the past, 20 plus years, those numbers are really reflecting how bad the product is really getting, I think. And it's unfortunate because I think that SmackDown was actually pretty good last week.
Yes.
There was some interesting character developments when you look at Daniel Bryan. There were some other good matches, especially the 3-man tag match to end the show. So even though it was a solid show per se, the ratings certainly don't reflect that people are interested in the product anymore.
No. And, they hire Eric Bischoff, then they fire Eric Bischoff. You have Paul Heyman moving over to Raw, and Raw hasn't really gotten much better. Their ratings, while they were up last week, we won't know the ratings until after this episode is recorded for this week's Raw. It's very alarming. And it's not just what's going on TV. It seems like the last couple of weeks, more than anything, we are seeing a lot of problems within the company of WWE. Like just basic overhead stuff that you, like, for example, you watch the show Bar Rescue and you see the businesses that are failing, and John Tafford points out all these obvious things that should not happen, but a bad owner lets happen. And I don't want to necessarily blame Vince McMahon for this, but
you got to blame somebody.
Someone's got to be blamed. But when you have dropping of ratings, you have all this backlash with Crown Jewel and Hulk Hogan and him being still on television, despite there obviously being a negative connotation to him. You have everything going on with Jordan Myles. You have WWE 2K20 with glitches that are so bad that it wouldn't even be operable on a Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Who is overseeing this? And then you have the WWE draft where they leaked the order of the picks the night or like hours before the show.
Yeah.
Who is checking this stuff?
Right.
Who is approving this stuff? That's alarming.
Yeah.
Absolutely alarming.
I agree 100%. And to think that a company that is as established as WWE is, these things simply shouldn't be happening.
No.
It shouldn't be. We're a startup company in AEW right now, despite it being new and despite it being fresh and despite the fact being that it's still very much in the honeymoon stage, as I say, on a fairly frequent basis, because it is, that they're coming across as the more sound company right now. They're taking steps in the right direction, character development, making the young guys feel like stars. Darby Allin was a relatively unknown person until AEW came around. And look, it took them a matter of him having 2 matches on TV, a couple of matches on pay-per-views, and he's essentially one of their most over guys right now, certainly clicking with their fan base. Now, why is it that they're able to do that in such a short amount of time, and WWE can't get guys over that have years and years of experience and can't make anybody feel special? They haven't created a star since John Cena.
Right.
Now, I know guys of that caliber of draw don't just come around every day.
Right. That is true.
But if you're the biggest company in the world as far as professional wrestling is concerned, and you have the ability to get anybody you want, especially considering the amount of money you're dishing out for guys like Brock Lesnar and the reports going around that Cain Velasquez was paid an astronomical amount of money, there's something wrong there.
Yeah.
They're not able to make people feel special. The storylines are bad. It's just continuously... we're sitting here having conversations about how bad the show and the product has gotten.
Here's the problem. And I think a lot of people can agree with me on this, and let me know if I'm right or wrong in the comments. I think for a long time, it's been WWE has focused more on the logo and the brand instead of the stars that make the brand. AEW, on the other hand, are like, okay, our logo is this. Hell, they don't even have a real show logo. Because they're letting their stars sell the show. That's what, you have Jon Moxley, you have Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho. Are they established names from WWE? Yeah. But because of that, we get a Darby Allin. We get an MJF, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, that people are already invested in. And the other thing too, props to Tony Khan, where he is putting an effort to his talent. Not having them have, 4 or 5 house shows a week, despite the fact that they're not making any money on those house shows like WWE.
Yeah.
They're not rushing into things and just putting stuff out there. They separated those 3 shows that we got before they went on TV, and people were somewhat interested in the product. And now that they're on TNT, the ratings have been stable. The viewership has been stable. And at the end of the day, you look at WWE, Raw could still draw 2.5 million a week, but, every week it's all about, what did they do wrong? How stupid this gimmick is, how stupid that segment was.
Yeah, you're more inclined to discuss all the flaws with it than the stuff that they're doing right, because whether it's a video game blunder or the roster getting leaked or, just one guy's a heel one week, the next week is on SmackDown as a face. Just silly things like that just make absolutely no sense to the viewer.
And I didn't want this episode to really be a bashing of WWE, but it just seems like, how many times are they going to be, let go of this stuff? Eventually, they have to look into the mirror and see, you know what? I understand we're making more money here, but think about how much more we can even make if we actually put an effort into things.
Yeah.
It just seems like everything happening right now, they're putting such little effort into things, little effort into storylines, little effort. Obviously, the video game it seems like very little effort. I know there's a lot of time and effort that goes into making a video game, but from what we're seeing on social media, the videos of that, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Negative. You're WWE. You're not an independent video game developer making his first video game.
Yep.
I understand Yuke's left, but maybe there's a reason why they left.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been good. Like I said, there's so many things you can point to as far as the flaws that they've had over the last several, I guess you can call it years. And it's interesting because I was actually thinking about this today when I was thinking about their inability to really create new stars or attract different types of talent, or not. Maybe that star is there, but because they're so stuck in their ways, that person just can't flourish to their full potential, like a Jon Moxley or somebody like that. When he talks about the creative being so restricting on what you can and can't do, maybe that person's there and they just can't really become the person that they truly should become. But when I was thinking back on this, I thought about how you had at one point in the Attitude Era, you had the guys like The Rock, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, which were they're like mega stars. And then you had certain guys that were more like mid-card to upper mid-card guys. And I thought of a guy like Edge, who was not necessarily the guy on top when those guys were there, but he was given the ball and he ran with it. And how when he was given the opportunity to run with the ball, he knocked it out of the park. But a lot of fans were kind of like, why is this guy in the main event? Questioning it because he wasn't necessarily in that position when guys like Rock and Austin were there. Looking back on it and the charisma he had and the way he was able to carry himself and transform his whole persona into the rated R superstar and everything like that, they would kill to have a guy like that right now. Just kill to have somebody with that type of charisma where they can go out there and just command the crowd and be over the top and just, an attraction, a draw. Because honestly, I don't see that in anybody right now. And it's not so much the talent, it's just they don't make anybody feel special.
Well, here's the thing. It seems like, and this is the big knock that WWE always gets, where if someone gets over organically, they find a way to bury them because it wasn't their route. Rusev Day, the Firefly Funhouse are two that hugely come to mind. Originally when Roman Reigns was supposed to get pushed, or, after the 2014 Royal Rumble, people were all over Roman Reigns. Give this guy a push. But then they over pushed him. They just find ways they see something good and either they double down to the point where people are sick of it, or they're like, no, the fans are too stupid.
Well,
we're smarter than you.
Look at what they've done with Seth Rollins. Arguably definitely one of their best in-ring performers that they have right now, all around, one of the best wrestlers in the world. They book him in that silly finish at Hell in the Cell, trying to protect him, trying to protect The Fiend. Nobody makes out in that. The company got crapped on. People were chanting refund AEW. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins, who should be cheered as one of their best wrestlers ever, at least right now, is getting booed out of the stadium. Why are you putting your guys in these positions? And then more bad press after that.
Right.
I mean, whether it's loss of subscriptions in the WWE network, record low ratings, loss in revenue that they're reporting on, bad video games, bad booking, bad storylines, Eric Bischoff getting fired. It's just one thing after another, week after week. I'm going to watch Raw tonight. I'm sure we'll get a really great video package highlighting Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black again, because they've been doing that for some reason. They haven't pushed Aleister Black, for the whole 6 months he's been on the main roster, but now all of a sudden we're supposed to care about him again.
Yep.
It's just things like that. Like, give the guys opportunities. Make them feel special. You never know. You might luck out and it might work.
Right. And it's like, at the end of the day, how does this get fixed? Is it, one quick change? Like in sports all the time, they say, oh, fire the manager or fire the head coach and things will turn around. Sign that big free agent and things will turn around. Is it that easy in WWE's eyes? Do they just need to sign the next big thing in wrestling? Do they just need to find the next big writer?
But their vision of the big thing, it is just maybe not what the fans want anymore. Because look at Cody. Cody was freaking stardust until he left the WWE and became the American Nightmare. Arguably one of the best wrestler in the world, arguably the most over wrestler in wrestling right now. Jon Moxley left the WWE, left the Shield, left everything that came with that, went to New Japan, now in AEW, maybe one of the most over guys in the industry right now. Guys like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, turning down contracts to go to the WWE. People are seeing the trends that are going on, and they're deciding not to sign with them and not to go to them, when I think the goal was always go to WWE, main event WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like right now, for whatever reason, that's not the way people look at WWE anymore.
Because it's more about, like I said, WWE is more focused about their brand. That's why all the belts have the big logo on it. They all have cookie cutter designs. Every wrestler has the same match. Everything's the same. The commentary spews out the same lines. And it's McDonald's. And people don't want McDonald's burgers anymore. They want to go to some local.
They want Chick-fil-A.
Like even Chick-fil-A would be an upgrade, but people want like a good local burger with top grade meat, not freaking fast food.
Generic crap.
Exactly. And that's what WWE's getting, and granted, they're making millions of dollars. They still can draw millions of people to watch. And at the end of the day, we could come back Friday and they could pull another 2.4, 2.5 million viewers Friday night on Fox, and things would be back to normal, as they would think.
I'd be shocked, though, because, there have been other organizations. UFC has certainly run shows on FS1 and pulled some decent numbers. This is the WWE. They've had a strong following, over the span of 20 plus years. It's not like it's just some startup company or, this is like UFC's first show on FS1 or something like that. Their fan base is supposed to be reliable and established. It's a sure thing. It's a home run. That's why Fox put as much money into this product as they did. It's globally known worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And to have those ratings drop from, drop off 1 million viewers one week, 400,000, and then another million plus. I mean, that should be telling in itself. But unfortunately, I'll watch Raw tonight. I'm not expecting much.
Yep.
And if they don't bring it for SmackDown next week, it's really just indicative that they're just not going to change things.
And the issue is this coming SmackDown, it's going to be hard to watch because you're going to have people who are jet lagged because they're coming from Saudi Arabia the night before. Mm-hmm. And it's, I think, a 7-hour time difference. So, people are going to be jet lagged. They're going to be, going from what would be 9 p.m. there to 2 p.m. here. It's bad.
I mean, even that, right? So is there anybody who actually believes Cain Velasquez is going to beat Brock for the title? I certainly don't.
I actually think it's happening.
You do? Okay.
I actually think what they're going to do is Rey is going to beat Seth, Cain is going to beat Brock, and the titles are going to switch brands.
Okay. And then if they do that, people are going to be pissed because it came on I guess if you want to call it, is it not really a pay-per-view, a glorified house show like Crown Jewel where it's at 3 in the afternoon. Most people aren't going to 1 in the afternoon. Most people aren't going to be able to watch it or not watch it till later on or the next day if they choose to, because it's going to be scrutinized no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
You change the titles there, you piss people off. You put the title on Cain Velasquez, who's unproven after having Brock dismantle Kofi in 5 seconds. People are going to be. I mean, it's just like they constantly are in this position where they're not pleasing the fans, and they constantly say, "You guys are the voice. You make the stars. You're the you're the authority." But are they really listening? I don't think they are.
Well, if you think about Becky Lynch's most recent shirt that came out the same day as the Jordan Myles controversy, I don't care about your feelings.
Right, yeah.
Who's overlooking this stuff?
Tone deaf.
Exactly.
Tone deaf.
Whew. Let us know in the comments. Air out your frustrations at WWE in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video. Share it all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. And for the best conversations in AEW, WWE, NXT, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Ralph Valenti, my name's Michael Valenti. Thank you for watching the Squared Circle Psychobabble.